In last week's article, You'll Never Forget Your First Home, I discussed 4 of the first things to do when preparing to buy a home. In this and the coming week's post, I'm going to continue with the home buying process by discussing several important things to think about or know when you are searching for homes. We are going to assume that you followed my advice from the last post. You have your agent, you've met with them, you know your budget, and you have your loan pre-approval. The next step, start looking for homes. The home search should be fun. It is my favorite part for sure. But just because it's fun, don't get too caught up in ogling over cool architectural features or envisioning your kids playing on the swings in the backyard. There are really important decisions to be made. Now, before we get into the main topic, I want to make a quick mention of an important aspect to keep in mind. Now, how you go about your home search is going to be up to you and your agent. But I do advise against looking at every home in a 20-mile radius. It's exhausting for everyone involved. Plus, psychological research has regularly shown that more options are not necessarily better. The human brain sort of goes into shutdown mode when we are faced with too many options, and we are actually prone to worse decisions because of it. So narrow your search options down as much as you can. If none of your first options work, widen it, but take it in small groups at a time. Now, on to the main event. Now, whether you've thought about it or not, this week's topic often ends up becoming a highly important consideration when touring and buying real estate. It also often becomes the root of the most common problems in completing sales, and that is fixtures. A real estate fixture is an item that is more or less permanently attached to a property and considered part of the property that is being sold. Therefore, fixtures are usually included in the sale unless explicitly excluded in the sales disclosure and/or agreement. More on that later. Fixtures are different from personal property, which is not permanently attached to the property and can be easily removed by the owner. Some clear examples of fixtures are, but definitely not limited to, chandeliers and fully attached lighting, like over-the-sink fixtures, recessed lighting, that sort of thing. Now, this does not include table lamps, floor lamps, or string lighting. Another fixture, attached cabinets and countertops. Now, be aware of freestanding cabinets. Those may not stay with the home. Another is heating and cooling systems. Now, window air conditioners may or may not be included, so you'll want to check if you see one of these. Space heaters are definitely not fixtures. Another fixture, plumbing units like sinks, bathtubs, that sort of thing. Now, keep in mind, water softeners might be an exception to this. Many homeowners rent their water softeners. If this is the case, it is not the seller's right to include it in the sale because it belongs to the water softener's owner. So be sure to check on the status of the water softener if expecting that with the sale of your home. Now, what about appliances? Appliances can often be a huge selling feature of a home. Refrigerators, ovens, dishwashers, washing machines, dryers, they're all large, expensive, and difficult to move. So many buyers are attracted to homes in which appliances are included. But are they considered fixtures? Yes and no. For example, a dishwasher is generally considered a fixture because of its attachment to the plumbing and really the difficulty of removal. You don't see too many home sellers take dishwashers with them when they move. However, it's also not completely unheard of. Ovens and stones are kind of a question mark. If they are built into a permanently affixed cabinet, then yes, it's a fixture. If the oven is freestanding but slid into an opening, there's some debate about that, so you'll want to get clarification. Refrigerators, washing machines, and dryers are generally not considered fixtures. Unless specifically stated that these items are included with the property, sellers can freely remove them if they wish. Now, you might say, aren't refrigerators and washers attached to plumbing? Yes, in most cases they are, but this is why appliances are so tricky, so pay close attention to this advice. The sellers will generally disclose what, if any, appliances are staying with the home. If there is any question as to what is to remain, make sure your agent clarifies this with the listing agent. And more importantly, if you are expecting any or all appliances to come with your home, your agent must include them in writing in the purchase agreement. This means even if the seller has indicated that they will be included, write them in the agreement. It's always better to be safe than sorry, and it's always better to have things in writing. Verbal agreements have almost no legal weight behind them. Now, keep in mind, too, that personal property can be included in a sale. It just needs to be included in the purchase agreement. Do you really like the seller's dining room table or the cabinet in the kitchen, a sofa, or even their flat screen television? You can ask for it. Of course, the sellers don't have to agree to it in full, but some sellers might be happy to leave that huge dining room table for a little extra cash. Now, speaking of televisions, one last thought on fixtures. Are televisions a fixture? No. But is the television mount that is attached to the wall a fixture? There's some debate about this. I generally lean toward it being a fixture. These mounts are hard to remove without doing damage to the wall, but they are removable. This is another situation where you, the buyer, probably want to get clarification, especially if that's important to you. Of course, if the property is damaged during the removal of that mount, or really anything else, the sellers must provide a suitable repair or provide funds for that to be done. So to sum things up, the moral of the story is, if you expect it, make sure the item is in the purchase agreement. Whether it's a water softener, refrigerator, washer, dryer, washing machine, cabinet, oven, etc., write it in. Your agent, of course, will help you with this, but it's always better to include too much rather than not enough. Also, make sure you know what the seller's exclusions are. There might be a fixture they want to take with them, like, say, an antique chandelier or custom bathroom vanity. If this is the case, they must indicate that in writing and usually provide a suitable replacement. So be sure to check for exclusions when purchasing. Finally, you also want to consider the age and the condition of the fixtures when considering a home. Even though it's included with the home, and that air conditioner is a 1985 exclusive that has been featured in the They Don't Make Them Like They Used To magazine, it's still headed for an impending death. And possibly on the first day of that July heat wave that's bound to come. So make sure you are considering that in the purchase of your home and or those upcoming costs that you need to be prepared for as a new homeowner. And yes, I am speaking from personal experience here.